Hello, in this video, we're going to cover the end coverage workflow in Fullcast. The end coverage workflow was designed to make it easy to find and manage all of a user's assignments in one place. It gives you the flexibility to take different actions for each territory, like ending one while keeping another, and create placeholders so you never lose track of a backfill. While these features are powerful for everyone, they're especially important if you're managing users with multiple assignments and targets, ensuring you can reconcile each one individually. This video is going to focus specifically on the coverage aspects of the transition, but we will also show you the target aspects as well. To begin, we're going to navigate in our territory plan to manage coverage. We'll start by finding a coverage assignment that we need to end. Here we've located the coverage card for the person that's leaving the role. As a pro tip, if for some reason you don't see the assignment here, be sure to check the filters for the fiscal year, and then if you're showing active, inactive, etc. assignments. We'll click on this 3 dots menu here, and we'll select End Coverage. The first thing that you'll notice here is the effective end date. This is the last active day the person will cover the territory. This date is the trigger that tells Salesforce when to remove them from the account team. And on this section, you see all of the active assignments for this specific user, not just a single assignment card that you clicked on. This allows you to manage their departure across multiple territories in one go. Let's take a look now at the actions that you have available. The first action here is do nothing. This is used specifically when a user has multiple assignment cards listed here and you want to keep this specific assignment active while ending others. For example, if a rep is leaving one territory but keeping another, you'd select do nothing for the territory that they're keeping. Now let's look at the departure scenarios. If the employee is leaving and you don't have a replacement, you select end coverage. This simply terminates the assignment on the effective end date that you chose. When that date passes, the user would be removed and the territory would remain unassigned until you take further action. If you already know who's taking over, select permanent coverage. In the dropdown here, you're going to select the user who's going to be taking over. And if you were using ramp profiles in your org, you would have a list of the available ramp profiles associated with this role here. We'll click continue. If you're using targets and quotas, you'll have options here. We won't go through that in this video. Now click continue. You will get a final page that has a confirmation of everything that you've decided to do. We're taking Luca, replacing a permanent replacement with Jacob. So we'll click save and exit. And once this processes, we'll get back to the all companies level of the coverage tab. Let's take a look at what we just completed. In the New York 1 coverage tab here, we have Luca's assignment has ended effective on the 13th, and you can see that Jacob's assignment has started. You'll also note that the end date defaults to whatever the original end date of this user's assignment was. So the first person ends and the new person starts with 0 gaps in coverage. This is the ideal option for a direct handover. But what if you don't have the permanent hire ready yet, or you're going to have a manager step in as a bridge, but you want to make sure that you backfill later? That brings us to the temporary coverage scenario. So let's look at a different assignment here. Again, we'll select end coverage. Now we have a couple of different assignments here. We're going to look at this one, which is the one that we've selected here. And let's look at the temporary coverage option. So this is, again, if you are wanting to assign someone with a flag that designates the coverage as temporary, and also it's going to allow you to create a TBR placeholder, as it's called. So here, when we select temporary coverage, we're going to get first a dropdown for the user that we want to select to put the temporary coverage for. And then we get this dropdown here. We can either create a new TBX placeholder, or if we, for some reason, have existing TBX, TBR, TBT, TBH placeholders in your Fullcast plan, then you could select an existing one. For this example, we'll keep it simple and choose to create the placeholder. Let's click continue here. We're going to skip the targets for this video, but there are a lot of options as far as what you can do with deleting the target, ending the target, basically canceling out the remainder of the year, or you could transfer the target to a new employee. Let's continue here. So now here, we're getting the summary of everything that we've chosen. We can collapse these things and just go here to this assignment where we've chosen a temporary replacement for Jacob, which is Zoe. So we'll go here and click save and exit. So now let's take a look back where we finished in New York 2. And what we'll see here is Jacob's assignment is now inactive. We have this TBR that was created, and it has a start date of the 14th. And Zoe's assignment here also starts on the 14th. So now let's say this Zoe is the manager, and I'm ready to now backfill this one. The workflow here that makes, in this specific scenario, the most sense is just to come into Zoe's assignment, do end coverage again. So here we have Zoe, who is our original temporary assignment. So what we're going to do here is go ahead and end date this assignment effective of the 28th. We'll choose permanent coverage. We'll choose our person. And then if you have a rent profile, that applies again. Skip this page. We will just check here and click save and exit. And so now as a quick final check, let's take a look at what we've got here in New York 2. Okay. So Jacob is done. Zoe is temporary, ending on the 28th, and the new person for the territory is starting on the 29th. And now we've got this TBR placeholder that was created when we did this temporary assignment to end Jacob's coverage. So we can just come here and we can just end date this. Again, this one's not so important because the TBR never exports, but just for your hygiene here, I would say change the end date here to be the 28th to be consistent with the assignment that the TBR had. So we have Jacob going to the 13th, TBR starting on the 14th, and Zoe also starting on the 14th. TBR ended on the 28th, which is when Zoe's going to end, and then Ashley is starting on the 29th. So again, just to recap, when you have the temporary coverage option in the original end coverage workflow, you'll then go to the temporary assignment, and you can run that end coverage workflow again to create the permanent backfill assignment. If for some reason the dates get wonky, it's always an option to end the assignment by simply changing the end date. So let's say, for example, something happens and this new person's start date gets pushed later than you originally planned. You can simply come and edit the start and end dates here. The key is just to make sure the dates don't overlap. So let's say, for example, you already had this plan when you heard there was a new person coming. They're going to start on the 29th, and that means your temporary person is going to end on the 28th, but you find that this person, Ashley, is not actually starting until the 15th of February. You can come and you can adjust the dates, particularly like today in the real world is January 13th. So I could come in here and I could just edit this. Even if this had already exported, I can still edit it to change the end date. So I want to push this end date out until, let's say, the 14th of February. And so now I have my temporary assignment for the 14th ending, and then I want to start Ashley a different date. I can just edit the start date here and come to the 15th. Okay, so now you can see the full history of what we've done here. The TBR again here was for just a reminder. We've got our temporary coverage here. We did go ahead and create this future one. And now when this date passes, this will be labeled with an inactive and you will be all set. So before we finish, a quick warning about edit and delete. Again, the valid use case for edit is to adjust the end date of a current or future assignment. For a future assignment, you can also change the start date. But one super important thing is you should never use edit to change the name of a person on an assignment. Editing the name can interfere with the cleanup of account teams in Salesforce. So really important thing, if you're going to change the person, you need to at least edit the end date on the existing assignment and then create a new assignment for the new person. but ideally you'd use the workflow to cover all bases. And the other thing is that this assignments are here for history, right? So if I just swapped out Jacob with Zoe, then I might forget that Jacob was ever here covering the territory. Another important note is regarding deleting assignments. So delete should only be used if the assignment was a mistake. For assignments that have already been exported, you usually don't get the delete option. One valid use case for delete, let's say we end up not hiring Ashley. This is a future assignment, so it hasn't exported. I can just come in here and delete it. That's okay. But I wouldn't want to delete Jacob's assignment because it's good to have that history. In conclusion, use the end coverage workflow to make sure that your data remains accurate. You have the history of your older assignments. And if you particularly have users who may have multiple assignments, and if you're using targets, using the end coverage workflow is super helpful with making sure that you deal with all of the territory assignments that may exist. And you can get these TBR placeholders that can help you remember to backfill. And that is it. Thank you for watching.